All right. So we just got out of seeing Battle Angel Alita. And I actually love the movie. I know I've been saying this is probably going to be my number one live action adaptation. Unfortunately, it's not so, but it is very high on my list. Definite top 5. And as you guys know, the last list I made, there were, I had 21 movies on that list. So for it to be in the top 5, that's still pretty good. I would even probably say top 3. So, how about you?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was too good.
Yeah. I actually just finished catching up to the post motorball area in the manga. I know you guys were saying that I forgot a lot of stuff, so I just went back and read it. And I've been reading it over the past couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And there were just so many elements of the original manga that were right there. They did change some things, like for example, the whole thing with the ship and mentioning Mars and and all that stuff. That's from later series, but that's fine because you're condensing it into one story. You know?
Yeah, I know nothing about the manga.
Yeah.
So I just went in completely blind to it.
Oh, okay. So you came in blind and you loved it.
Oh, I love it. It better have a sequel.
Yeah. They ended it in a way that looks like there's going to be a sequel. I also feel like they also ended it in a way where if it ended there, it would have been fine. How do you agree with that, or do you think?
No,
so?
I need more.
You need more.
I need more.
Okay.
I've watched too many good movies that there's should have had a sequel, but there's none.
Yeah, and I actually agree with that. I would love to see more of this, and I hope it does well. So far, you looked it up, and it's Saturday right now of opening weekend, and you just looked it up, and it said it made $51 million.
Yeah, it made $51 million. I think their budget was like
170.
Yeah, 170.
Yeah, so I mean that's just within two days because it came out on Thursday night. So so far that's pretty good. We haven't even completed the weekend yet. Unfortunately, the theater wasn't full here, but it is Flagstaff.
Right?
It's rare that it's ever now that they have this big giant movie theater. It's rare that it ever fills up. Because I've been able to go to stuff on opening weekends that are going to be big movies, and sometimes it's full, but not every time.
Well, I need a sequel.
Yeah.
I need some closure here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was such a good movie. It didn't seem like it was that long of a movie to me, even though it was actually
3 hours.
It was a 3-hour movie.
I had a feeling it was 3 hours, and I didn't feel that at all either.
No, I'm just like, why are we stopping?
Yeah. There could have been a lot more. Especially just with the Alita storyline. But yeah, overall, as someone who liked them, who especially has just refreshed their mind of the manga, it was definitely accurate. For the most part, it was very accurate. In the manga, there are some differences with the manga, of course, but for example, the wife character, she wasn't in the manga.
Okay.
Yeah, she was never in the manga. So solely the Jennifer Connelly character, for those of you who are following, she was never in the manga. And in the manga, Ito actually still has the dot on his forehead.
Oh, okay.
And
so they did a few changes here.
They did a few changes. And once again, that's fine, because it's not really that... Most of them weren't very big. I mean, they were big changes, but none of them impacted the storyline super. Yeah.
They didn't Hollywood it.
Yes, they did not Hollywood it. Like, for example, as everyone likes to bring up, Dragon Ball. Yeah. And I'm very surprised considering that it came from the same studio. And I think I mentioned this in my trailer reaction. Yeah. I'm very surprised, and I think I mentioned this in my trailer reaction, but I think it's because it's produced by James Cameron and directed by Robert Rodriguez, both of which are huge moneymakers. So this time, the studio might have just actually left them alone.
You guys do your work.
Yeah,
we're not gonna hinder you.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, it didn't look like 20th century. Because there were so many elements from the story, that it really didn't look like they like some executives came down and said, you should do this and this and this.
We want a giant spider.
Yes, perfect example. We want Superman. That guy Lex Luthor is such an idiot. Why don't we have a giant Spider-Man for Superman, a giant spider for Superman to fight?
And then they went to Wild Wild West.
Yes.
Because that seemed the proper thing to do. Right?
Yes, a giant robotic spider in the 1800s, yes. But yeah, like the wife character didn't exist. The Vector had nothing to do with Motorball. Motorball actually just randomly appears in the second arc.
So it's just a sport
It's a sport. Well, what happens is that
it doesn't really have anything to tie with the main story.
No. Well, it does. So what happens is that when what happens to Hugo happens to Hugo, Alita goes to Motorball to try to find herself.
Okay.
So it really just kind of suddenly appears. Like it did. So move all the Motorball stuff and put it at the end, and that's pretty much how it was in the manga. It just kind of suddenly appeared, and it was like a few months later, and she's basically like left Edo and went to go find herself, and she did that through Motorball. But there was a lot more of it. There was a lot more Motorball in the manga. Because she actually plays like a few matches that we actually see. And she's like, she is really a star in the second league. Like, pretty much unbeatable.
Just want more fighting robots.
Yeah. It was a great fighting robot movie.
No, it was really
And
good.
then Destiny Nova is just kind of, throughout the entire Battle Angel Alita manga, Destiny Nova is just kind of mentioned every now and then, not always by name either, just by description, and it's like around the end that you find out about him, and then in the second series, that's when she goes into Salem and starts trying to search him out, and he's like everywhere. he's so convoluted, like he's such a complicated character. Because, like, I think at some point later on, she does meet him, but she doesn't kill him like she wants to for whatever reason. I forget the specifics, but yeah, Destiny Nova's just everywhere.
Well, it seemed like he can. I mean, I don't know if it was the same in the manga where you could just kind of like interface with every.
I don't think so.
With every
he doesn't.
Robot or android character.
Well, once again, that's one of those things where I think they took elements from later series, because I think he does that in the second series, like taking people over, or cyborgs. He actually takes over cyborgs. I think he does actually take over some cyborgs, if I remember correctly, in the second series, and then he kind of does like the whole Doombot thing. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, he could, where like you kill something and you think it's him, but it's not actually him.
Right.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm back, guys.
Yeah, you actually killed my bot, who was pretending to be me. Or he was just, the bot was just a puppet, or whatever. But yeah, Destiny Nova doesn't really show up. But I'm glad that they put him in here, because it's like, it was a good shout out for the fans, because like anybody who knows Battle Angel Alita, you saw how I reacted when they said Nova, right?
Oh yeah, oh man. Oh yeah. Simmer down.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, it's Destiny Nova. And so, yeah, it's funny because even if I hadn't read the manga, I would have, as soon as they said Nova, I would have been like, I know who that guy is.
I will say, though, I mean, like, I have to agree, because we talked about this earlier. I really liked how, the main character, Alita, I don't want to put any spoilers out there for those who haven't seen it, but where she didn't really question her humanity.
Yes.
I mean, am I human?
Yeah.
She's just like, I don't give a I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, and that's how it is in the manga. In the manga, especially now that I refreshed it, in the manga, she might question it. She might question being human for a little bit, but it's purely because of Hugo, and that's it. It is just like, I want to be able to express myself with Hugo, and that's pretty much the only reason why she even that thought even crosses her mind. And later on, it just doesn't. Like, it's never really brought up again. And yeah, what's cool is that a lot of almost everything there was straight from the manga. Straight from the manga. Like I told you, when the opening scene, I'm like, that's from the manga.
you were like, it's perfect. They did it right. They did it right.
Exactly.
Just like, okay, Sean.
That was. So yeah, there were a lot of scenes that were straight from the manga.
But that just shows that they care about the source material.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I was saying, because James Cameron claimed to be a huge fan of Alita, and if it wasn't for Avatar, he would have been directing. But anybody who knows Robert Rodriguez knows that Robert Rodriguez is a huge comic fanboy.
Dude's on another level, man.
Yeah, he's a huge comic fanboy.
I saw that. I was like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, and that's what I was. Yeah, I agree. And so that's one of the cool things about it too. Is there were so many elements from the manga, the opening scene, Ito finding Alita, and then the part with the what was it, when she sneaks out. All of that really happened. She just she noticed he would come in at night with blood on him or slightly injured or something like that. And she was like, what's going on here? And then she sneaks out and stops him from hurting some lady. And it turns out it was just a trap for some bounties to try to get him. And he had the rocket hammer. That's his signature weapon.
Look, I don't know anything about the manga, but I had immediate Fallout vibes when I saw the rocket hammer. Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought of the super sledge, and I'm just like,
yeah, the super sledge.
The inner Fallout horror in me was just like, oh god. Ah!
Yeah, and that's exactly what it looks like in the manga, except it might have been slightly bigger. But because was that about the size of him?
Dude, it was bigger.
Bigger than him?
I think it was lengthwise. It was definitely
okay. Because when he first pulled it out, I think it looked a little short. But
he was piecing it together.
Yeah. He probably hadn't put it fully together yet. But when he fully had it in the bar and he was swinging it, it was definitely at least.
Look, we just need Elon Musk to make one of these things. Okay, he made the flamethrowers and awesome, but that's what I want. I want the rocket hammer.
The rocket hammer was awesome. Yeah. So that's exactly how it looks in the manga. So it's even got the little spike on it. Yeah.
I love that attention to detail.
Yeah. I mean, so they blended things together, and I'm okay with that because this ended up being a 3-hour movie.
It didn't feel like it.
It was like a 3-hour movie, and still there was plenty more stuff for them to do if need be. So it was essentially, for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, it is essentially the first 2 arcs of Alita, which is Ito finds her, and her meeting Hugo, and then Motorball. So, but they blended those all of those together. They don't actually play Motorball in the street. It's only ever in the Coliseum, and it's only played by cyborgs. Because, as you can see from how freaking crazy it is.
Yeah, that might be a little much for the normies.
Yeah, for a regular human. So, but
there was that one dude in that scene that I'm not going to say that just got obliterated. And I was just like, oh my god.
Which one?
Oh, he's there. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
Wow, there's blood everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, and that's more or less what the track looks like in the manga, too. Except there are loops. There are also loops in the track. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. But they do have those covered parts of the track, like the full pipe track part of the tracks. So it's very interesting.
I'm definitely going to have to read the manga.
Yeah, the manga is interesting. It's very interesting.
Because it's a pretty long series, right?
the entire there's I just realized that there are 3 series. Somebody, thank you, in one of my previous videos mentioned that there's a 3rd series, which I didn't know about. And the 3rd series is actually a prequel, which talks about her life before Ito found her.
Oh.
So, yeah, so the primary series is Battle Angel Alita, and I keep forgetting, but I want to say it's like 8 volumes. It's like 8 or 10 volumes, maybe. And it's like 50 some chapters, I think. And then there is Battle Angel Alita Last Order, which says at the end of Battle Angel Alita, I guess the manga author was forced to end it really quickly. So he actually retcons Battle Angel Last Order retcons the end of Battle Angel Alita.
Okay.
And it just continues on from there. And that's another like 20 plus volumes, 30, something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's long. I was reading Last Order 10 years ago, and it still wasn't done. I think it just finished like a few years ago.
That's just even more of a reason that people need to come see this movie, because I want a sequel.
Yeah. Yeah. So
you'll want a sequel too.
I hope there is a sequel. I really want there to be a sequel. I want this movie to do well, because this is an example of Hollywood doing it right. And a lot of people like to complain about Hollywood never getting it right, which is not always true. It's mostly true. We'll go with that. It's mostly true.
Some things can never be forgiven.
And I always bring it back to.
But I will say though, I do love Super Mario Bros. But anyways,
oh god,
the best, worst Hollywood.
That was a terrible movie.
Video game to movie.
That was a terrible movie.
I loved how bad it was. That's why I loved it. I loved how awful it was, and that made it good. If I separated myself, but that's not the point. The point is, some things can never be forgiven.
I heard it's decent if you forget about the fact that it's supposed to be Mario Brothers.
It takes a lot for somebody to do that. I just loved how awful it was. It's one of my favorite terrible films.
Oh gosh, I remember seeing it when it came out, and I hated it back then. Like I felt like I was supposed to like it, and I wanted to like it, but it just wasn't good.
That's what made it great, by how awful it was.
And then Mortal Kombat came out, and it all was redeemed. It was like, oh, they can actually do a decent video game movie. And then Tomb Raider came out, and it was like, you can do a good video game movie. The Angelina Jolie one, I still consider that to be one of the best video game movies out that has ever come out.
I can see why you'd say that.
It's because if you've ever played the first 3 Tomb Raider games, it really is straight from the Tomb Raider games. And there was a way I used to put it, which was the formula for Tomb Raider games is basically like Lara trains. Lara goes to like 5 random places that seem unconnected. Lara finds something mystical, and Lara looks hot.
Recipe for a movie.
And that's Tomb Raider. That's the original 3 Tomb Raiders in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. And it captured all of that. The first 2, I still have to see Cradle of Life, but the first one at least captured all of that. And therefore I consider it to be a very good adaptation of a video game, because it captured the entire element of Tomb Raider.
I don't know, man. I mean, the best video game adaptation.
Don't say Mario Brothers.
Double Dragon.
Oh God!
Come on, man.
That was awful.
That's the point. It was so awful. It was good.
Oh God, no, it wasn't. It was just bad. See, if that had been that could have worked better if that was Streets of Rage.
Okay.
Get rid of the mystical element, though.
Yeah, but they got that dragon energy. It's all popular these days. Dragon energy.
Because I think that was actually because the setting like that was actually supposed to be for Streets of Rage, where it's like this dystopian future and all that.
But the point is, Alita Battle Angel was awesome.
Yes, it was.
I would definitely go see it in the theaters again.
I would too. Yeah, I'll have to go and see it again.
I'm gonna have to look it up. Look up the manga and everything.
There's a 4-episode, I think it's 2 or 4 episode OVA, and you can get a little bit of it that way. But once again, it's condensed. I think these are like 30-minute OVAs or something like that. But yeah, it's condensed, which is why I personally haven't seen it. I've just read the manga because the manga is so long. I heard about the OVAs, and then this was like after I'd read the manga, and I'm like, how do you fit all of that into like such little like time? But yeah, this was definitely a great movie for me. I would put it, now that I'm thinking about it, I would absolutely put it in the top 3 for me. It beats Bakuman. This is top 3. Number 1 still Speed Racer. Number 2 is Kenshin. This is number 3. I would solidly put it as a number 3 minimum.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. Definitely gonna go see it again.
Yeah. I still need to watch more adaptations though. I have a bunch that I haven't really watched yet. Like I haven't seen the newest ones. This is the first adaptation I've seen since Ghost in the Shell. I
still need to watch that.
Yeah. Because I know Full Metal. No, actually, that's not true. Because I watched Death Note. I watched Death Note earlier this year or late last year, and I already put up a review for that. So you guys know my feelings on that. But I still, there's some Japanese ones that I needed to watch. There's like 5 of them that came out in Japan within the past couple of years.
Are they pretty good, or are they kind of?
I don't know. I heard Bleach is pretty good.
Because, I mean, that Full Metal Alchemist one...
Oh, you saw that one?
I saw a little bit of what you posted about it, and I think it's funny that, where that takes place in is supposed to be, like, Europe and they're
Japanese.
They're Japanese.
Yeah.
But, I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, there is a lot of whitewashing in other movies.
That's true. Yeah, that was my one complaint. My one primary complaint about Terraformers, which was...
Is that the one where they're like in Mars and they're fighting the bugs?
Mm-hmm. That was a
Wait, that's not Starship Troopers?
They actually fight hand to hand in this one, so...
Okay.
Yeah, there's no guns. They transform into bugs and they take them out.
Wait, they transform into bugs?
They transform into bugs.
So they're like, we're genetically engineered half bug, half human people?
Yes.
Well,
literally.
I can live with that instead of the whole, every Japanese manga or anime. It's like, oh, well, we found out that he's half demon everything.
Yeah, no. They have actually been operated on to display attributes of certain insects when they inject themselves with a serum.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's very interesting. Terraformers is good.
Please tell me there's like a praying mantis dude.
Woman.
Sign me up. You stop drilling, you hit oil.
Yeah, her arms turn into the claws, the praying mantis claws, and she's just like taking out cockroaches left and right, like just slicing them up.
I love it.
Yeah, it was great. I
want to go see that right now.
Yeah, it was a great movie. I only had two issues with it. One, the yellow washing, and 2, the end is a Deus Ex Machina, which didn't happen in the manga, and it was weird because if they'd kept it like the manga, it would have made total sense. There was no reason for him to change it into this. But, yeah, there was a big Deus Ex Machina at the end.
Was there a giant spider they had to fight?
No.
I will forever go back to that, okay?
Weirdly enough, now that I think about it, there are no spiders in that series. There's 0 spiders in it. There's a guy who displays octopus tendencies, but there's no spiders.
Close enough.
Yeah. But that guy's not in the movie. He's in the series, the manga, and maybe the anime. Yeah, in that manga, it was a world operation, and in the live action movie, it was just a Japanese operation. So yeah, but even though the main character, the two main characters, or the one main character is Japanese in both, and he has he displays the powers of the Asian hornet, the giant Asian hornet.
I don't know anything about that.
Ooh, it's a crazy bug, dude.
Is it?
It's gigantic. It's a gigantic hornet whose venom is actually, for lack of a better term, acidic.
Oh wow.
So it melts. It melts your insides if you get stung by this thing.
That sounds terrifying.
Yes.
And I love it.
Yes. Yeah. Terraformers is an awesome series. It gets weird later on, like a lot of Japanese manga does when it, that start off with really good concepts. But yeah, it's really the beginning at least is extremely good and very interesting. But yeah, even that I would, if I was rewatching it, I would probably replace that as number 6, number 5. I actually put it as number 10, but I would put it up. The more I watch it, the more I've watched it again, and I've realized I probably should have put that one higher. But yeah, this is top 3 for me, Alita. Good work, Hollywood. Robert Rodriguez. Please see this, guys, because this is a good example of Hollywood doing it right. And everyone likes to complain that Hollywood always does it wrong. And the 2 times that Hollywood and the last time Hollywood did it right, nobody went to see the movie. That was Speed Racer.
Oh.
Yes, nobody saw Speed Racer. That's why it failed. I remember I went to an anime convention that weekend it came out. And because I was at the convention, they actually gave every convention con goer a free entry as like a publicity thing on Thursday night. And I went to see it, and the theater was empty. Now, that said, I know there's a lot of people that get to conventions on Thursday night. The theater was empty. It was me and maybe 1 or 2 other people.
That's a shame.
It was a shame. And I came out of that movie so freaking excited. And I was telling everybody I knew about this movie. And the general response was, At an anime convention. I'm like, go see this movie. This is awesome. This is the best thing I've ever seen. And then everybody complained.
We gotta promote, hey, Hollywood, you're doing a great job because you're doing these films right.
Yes.
Please stop regurgitating the same stuff over and over again. This is what the people want. But sometimes, a lot of the people just like, we want another stupid Transformers film. I want to see Optimus Prime stab a goddamn robot.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
More explosions.
Yeah, that's why Michael Bay's making money. Everybody likes to complain about it, but he's making money.
Well, he's doing something right.
Yeah.
Or else he wouldn't be making movies.
Yeah. So, so that was the last time I remember Hollywood completely doing it right. Nobody had any interest. And now people use that complaint to say Speed Racer was terrible. They use the fact that it was a flop to say that it was a terrible movie. Every single time I argue with somebody about this, they're like, yeah, well, it got this on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, I'm like, have you seen it? No. Well, no, my friend said they saw it and it was awful. And I'm like, I'm telling you it's good because I saw it. I've seen it like 20 times.
It's herd mentality.
I would say Speed Racer is the number 1 movie I've seen the most times.
Yeah, but if somebody comes up to you and be like, I watched this movie and I didn't like it, but I'm not like part of the fandom, whatever. I'm just like, I don't like the movie. You'll probably be like, maybe that movie kind of sucked because my buddy said, you gotta try things for yourself.
Exactly. And it's, and when I point out, like, I try to use their examples of how, like, people said back then that it was a terrible movie and it flopped and that's why it's a terrible movie.
Just because it flops doesn't make it a terrible movie.
Exactly.
There's plenty of movies that bomb at the box office and then later on, like, that's why we have so many cult classics.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, this movie, flopped, it didn't make a lot of money, but people love the movies.
Yeah.
Later on, sometimes you need a bit of a period to show, get appreciation for the movie. I mean, like, come on, guys. People love The Room.
Yeah, wow. Well, that is a terrible movie, though.
It's terrible, yeah.
That's a bad example, because that's a terrible movie.
Okay, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, realistically...
I would say a better example is probably Princess Bride.
Fine.
And I just found this out from watching another YouTuber, but Princess Bride more or less flopped at the box office. And now what does everybody say about Princess Bride?
It's the best movie ever.
Exactly. And everyone can quote every single line from that movie now.
I'm not going to lie, though. I do love The Room, though.
It's funny. Yeah, Wisha hates that movie.
I love it.
And I like watching it. I just think it's funny.
It's pure insanity. So, I love it.
But anyway, the point I was trying to make is that, like, I try to use their examples against them, which is that if you look at critics now, they're saying that Speed Racer is probably one of the most underrated movies of all time. I'm not joking. There's a lot of critics out there saying that, or quite a number of critics out there saying that Speed Racer is one of the most underrated movies of all time, and that the Wachowskis were ahead of their time. Basically, Speed Racer flopped because nobody was ready for it. That's why it flopped. The public wasn't ready for it.
It wasn't the movie that the public wanted. It was the movie the public needed, right? Is that what you're trying
No. They just weren't ready for it.
They couldn't handle it.
They couldn't handle it.
I mean, listen. You got to try really hard to make a bad movie. And the movie that I hate with pure passion is Battlefield Earth.
Oh, of
the
course.
Worst movie ever made.
What? I'd rather watch Tango and Cash, and you know how I feel about that movie, and I love buddy cop films, and that made me sad. But, I mean...
I was just about to mention, what about Tango and Cash?
I'd rather watch Tango and Cash, okay? It has... But anyways, Battlefield Earth, terrible movie, but you know what? Nothing can... I mean, that's like as low as it gets, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, it's only up from here. So, I mean, gotta give things a chance, guys. Don't watch the same regurgitated thing over and over again.
Yeah, please. Go check out
and stop making remakes of remakes of remakes.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
How many Halloween films do we have now?
Well, they're technically sequels, most of them. I think it was only the Rob Zombie one that was a remake.
Sometimes you just gotta let a franchise die, okay?
I agree.
I mean...
But, yeah,
on a good note. Anyways.
Yes, great movie. Go check it out, everybody. If you're a fan of Alita, you'll love it. Once again, it's a live action movie, so there are some differences between it and the original source. But most of those changes or a good number of those changes are from the story itself. They just condensed it. They moved Motorball back to the beginning so that it's not like, where did this Motorball thing come from? So, yeah.
Makes sense why they did it.
Yeah. And they added Destiny Nova, who's a character who comes in later. But sorry, that's a bit of a spoiler, but it's a great spoiler when you find out about it. He doesn't interact with her. He doesn't really interact with her very much. So that's interesting too. But yeah, for the most part, everything is from the story. It's just been condensed, so there are some things that are mixed together. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, you guys stay geeky, my friends.
We just got out of the movie. Real quick, my man
Major G
right here. We got the right lighting. There we go. We good.
I like it.
All right. Everybody wants to know, what are your thoughts on the movie?
Hey, what up, G Team and YouTube? It is Major G, and today I am going to be talking about my review for Ghost in the Shell. Now, yeah, I usually do a review like right after, and I'm running a little bit late.